Devin, could you give me a thumbs up when we are live?
I will do that. Waiting now. We are online.
Thank you very much. Back to the agenda. With that, we will call to order the budget hearing of June 22nd, 2020. First up, I think we're going directly to Nikki. Is that correct, Rick?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Nikki, good evening.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you very much for serving the Tecumseh School District. This is your last board meeting, I think, correct?
It is.
Don't smile so much about it. Thank you very much for everything you've done for us, and the floor is yours. Take it away.
Okay. I'm not sure if final revision or projected is what we want to speak about first. I think final revision, we've kind of spoken about that a number of times. Does anyone have any questions about final revision? What the numbers that you see for tonight, the only change from the last time you've seen final revision is that the ISD 2 weeks ago released an opportunity for a CTE reimbursement. The amount was based on enrollment. We qualify for the largest pot of money. And so $70,000 was applied for, the second week of June, and was awarded. So, and that was for 1920 budget. So we'll be getting those funds. So I changed the revenue by $70,000 and added in that money for the 1920 year as well. So that was the only change for final revision. The final revision then budget leaves us there with a fund equity of that $2,626,919. And that is a fund balance of 9.44%. As always, we've gone around and around about how conservative it is. So that budget will it'll end in a much better position than that is what I'm forecasting. Projected. Oh, sorry. Does anyone have any questions about that final revision? 0.44%.
John?
As always, we've gone around and around about how conservative it is.
Nikki?
Yeah, something
Wait.
weird is happening.
Who was just talking? Was that you again, Nikki?
Well, that was me, but that's what I said a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
Somebody's not muted and is watching the video.
It's getting feedback. All right. John, you had a question?
Was the money that we paid out for that separation agreement in this budget as well?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. It's nothing else. Free to go on, Nikki.
Okay, so projected. The list that we ended up with at the last budget study session, that was what we used with one tweak. So we had a resignation in between. And so we have included that. Yeah, so basically what that would do there is, it was not included in the figures. I'm sorry, I just misspoke. But what it will do is it will potentially, depending on, of course, if the funding falls out the way we're estimating, it would potentially remove a certified staff from the layoff list and save one of those positions with this layoff or with this resignation. Sorry, fumbling. So projected budget, you see on the, here, I can share my screen here. Oh, I can't share my screen. It's disabled.
There you are. It should come up for you now, Nikki.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so this attachment here is the big picture here. So the projected budget considers everything that we had spoken about in the last budget study session. And we see the ending result here is 2,632,778. The funky piece is that you can tell that the end fund balance there only increases, less than $10,000, but the fund balance percentage increases by almost a full percentage, 0.75% around thereabouts. And that's because that fund balance calculation does not take into consideration revenue. It's only your end balance divided by your expenses. So we cut expenses so much so in this projected budget that it helps our fund equity percentage more so. I also, when I went through this projected budget, when I was putting final numbers together, I really looked at what was spent. I used 18-19 numbers, since 19-20 aren't a full, that's not a full year. I didn't want to trust those numbers. So I used 18-19 spent numbers and trimmed in little areas where I knew I could.
Nikki, I wanted to ask a question about 1920. Was the Lewandowski certification pulled back in that budget?
It's in the budget. So it didn't hit in the 1920 budget. Yes, it has not hit yet. But I have budgeted as if they will pull it back.
Right.
They haven't
okay.
done so, but
And
I did.
we have not heard, to clarify for the board, we don't have a final answer on that. But it's budgeted for either way.
This past year, they did take it from us in January, and then the month after, they gave it back. So someone looked a little too anxious to take that, and then they gave it back. So no, as of right now, they have not done anything in regards to that.
Update on that. I don't know as we'll see that this calendar year. It's currently caught up in the backlog of scheduling with the state court system. And with the COVID, I don't even know if they're, for this type of court, that they're back into session now. So it could very likely be next year sometime before we get any resolution with it.
So that would be a $67,000, that wouldn't hit, that would be pulling forward in a good way.
Any questions? I don't see any popping up. All right. Free to move forward there, Nikki.
Okay. The only other piece I have for tonight are the tax rates. So in 18-19, we opened a new bank account with First Fed, and it was an investment cash sweep account that enabled us to earn a much higher interest rate on those funds. And what they do, just to explain what they do there, is they, sorry, I'm trying to share my screen, change my, can you guys see the 4029 now or no? You still see the old?
Yes.
Perfect, thank
Kelly?
you. Okay, so what they do there is those cash sweep accounts, these were 18-19 accounts, we established two. They go in every day, they pull all of the cash, and overnight they utilize it and then put it back in the morning. So we can pull and use our money. It's extremely liquid still, but they compensate us for that. And so the interest rate went up because of that, and because the bond debt fund has so much cash sitting in it for at least half a year. We were able to earn enough that we will not be required to fully collect on the bond millage. In fact, we can't because we're only allowed a certain maximum amount of cash percentage-wise compared to the debt. So on the 4029, you'll see that the debt millage, which is the third millage down there, it was a 7.2 passed. And I reduced it by the same amount as what the Headley is for the pool, which I will explain in a moment. leaving us at a millage for the bond debt of 7.1668. That's enough to cover the bond debt for next year. And next year is when you pass your next 4029. That's when it falls down in the 4 range because of the millage falling off. The pool, we had that 0.25 millage passed in 2016. That millage is subject to Headley. The bond debt is not. But the pool millage, what's happening there is the property values are increasing at a rate faster than the county can keep up. So that's where the Headley comes into play. So they are reducing our millage by 0.9954 for pool. And that results in a millage for the pool of 0.2488. The other two basic millages still leave us at a max of 18 mils for the general fund. So these would be the property rates that we would be accepting and approving for this upcoming year. Do you have any questions about those? Okay.
All right, I see nothing. So
That's all I have.
no questions, Nikki.
Awesome.
All right, do you have anything else for us tonight?
I do not. I mean, if folks are interested, we can go through fund by fund. Would you like to do that?
I'm getting
projected?
yeses, so.
Okay. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so projected. So we just looked at general fund for projected revenues and expenses. Let me pull up my. Sorry, I'm. Okay. No. All right, sorry. You guys receive so many attachments on these. How do you keep all of this straight? Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is the revenue, and I'll toggle back and forth between revenue and expenses. So we've gone over Fund 11. Fund 23 for the pool. The revenue for Fund 23, and here's where we start here. The main change for revenue here is the fact that the general fund won't be transferring that $44,000 interfund transfer. So their revenue does go, where's the total here? It goes down here. So currently they're expecting a revenue of $238,384 for 1920, which would mean next year their revenue would be anticipated at $195,284, and that's almost 100% due to that that transfer being removed. The expenses for the pool, and the pool is carrying forward, while I get this, the pool is carrying forward just shy of $15,000 in fund equity. So they are anticipated to spend here $205,895 for projected, which will dip into their fund equity a little over $10,000 or so. The pool has historically been close. They've historically carried forward just a smidge, and do struggle to maintain budget and keep expenses within that budget. They do have a small budget for a pool, but so that's where the pool is landing for projected. Food
Hey, Nikki?
service. Yes.
Could you do me a quick favor and increase the magnification on the screen you're sharing?
Yes.
Maybe bump it up to 100 or so.
Yes. Is that better?
That's much better. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, take my glasses off now.
Okay. The food service. So food service is funky. So food services budget is going to be drastically impacted by, of course, COVID decisions for next year. Currently, when we are not in session, there is federal funding available for COVID specific purposes, and we do utilize that funding we have for March, April, and May. I budgeted for food service as if it were to be a normal year, just to be consistent with what we were doing for general fund. And so their projected budget is very similar to what their projected budget or what their budget in total has really been for the past 2 years. The food service director is not anticipating an increase in meal prices for next year. So their budget here, this is revenue. So Fund 25 total revenue is around the exact same, very, very close, $968,845 for revenue for next year. And their expenses, here, and their expenses over here on the expense side, 977,435. So they'll be projected to dip into their fund equity by a little less than $10,000. They carried forward over $100,000 in fund equity in 18-19. They will be cutting into their fund equity for 19-20 because of the pandemic, but still will be able to maintain a healthy fund balance. Fiduciary activities. So the fiduciary activity fund, which is Fund 29, is new for fiscal year 19-20. This will be the first year we're utilizing that. And what it is it's the student activities funds. There was a GASB 84 GASB statement that requires us to pull those accounts into our fund structure. And all along, we've been allowed to kind of maintain them on the side. They haven't been subject to the same restrictions, to the same rules. And those are those fundraising dollars. A lot of the sports utilize those, class accounts. Each building has their own activity fund. So in 19-20, we pulled them in. And basically what that fund serves to do is, so those activity funds support themselves. And 19-20 is the first year that we had to estimate what the expenses and the revenues would be. Since both the revenues and expenses are completely up to those coaches, those advisors, class officers, I budgeted that fund as if it 100% evened out. It will not, and they'll carry forward money. But just in case, because they have access to that money and they're able to spend it all if they wish, I budgeted it as if they would. So you'll see that Fund 29 has, in 19-20 here, I budgeted 470,000 for both sides, expenses and revenue. I looked at it this year and we fundraised more in 19-20. Even before the pandemic, we were on par to fundraise over $500,000. So for 2021, I budgeted the expenses and revenues at 530,000 on both sides. Please interrupt me if you have questions. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep cruising here. Okay, Fund 35. Fund 35 is our debt service. We are, let's see here. Yes. So I just budgeted for a full, the full bond payments. This is revenue side. So we are anticipating receiving around the same amount of money. This is because those interest accounts make up for the amount in property taxes that we are reducing, which is by design. So we are anticipating revenue in the bond debt fund account of $4,600,000. And on the expense side for Fund 35, So on the expense side over here, you'll see here, we currently in 1920 we'll be spending around 4,464,000. Next year, the bond payment drops by around $100,000. So we are anticipating having expenses of $4,366,250. Okay. Capital projects. Capital project revenue is reduced to just merely interest and the transfer from general fund. The first revision budget for 1920, we had bumped our capital projects transfer up to 375,000 for this year. And then now we're proposing that we bump it back down for next year due to the cuts to 200,000. I always budget for capital projects as if we spend it all, because those are the things that, yes, we do plan for certain capital projects, but those are the things that the capital project money is what we would use, obviously, in a lot of cases where we have an unexpected large expense. So I always budget as if we're going to spend it. So that fund is $200,000 on both sides. And then our last fund is Fund 51. Fund 51, that's it's a pot of money called French Connection funds. We've spoken about it a few times, but that money is from way back, actually from Rick's prior Tecumseh days. And we have around $100,000 in that fund currently to be used for travel, training, things like that. We, up till 1920, we're not utilizing those funds. And so in the 1920, at the end of this year, I am going to be moving some of that money in to cover eligible expenses in the general fund. And I'll be, and then hopefully it's in the budget to do so in the 2021 budget as well. So there is no revenue. The money is just hanging out, earning interest. Obviously not very much interest. It's only $500 a year. So there were some restrictions to that money way back when, and hopefully we'll be able to utilize that and help the district out now in these next few years. So that's projected fund by fund.
Thank you, Nikki. Are there any questions for Nikki on this? I'm scanning the board and I'm seeing no questions for Nikki. All right. Thank you very much, Nikki. And again, we appreciate you and we will miss you at our meetings.
Thank you very much.
Rick, do you have addendums to put on that?
No, not really, unless there are questions from the board. We have what we believe is a realistic projected budget for 2021, given our current circumstances. We believe that the circumstances will change over the next few weeks. So, I'm recommending that we probably revise things in August. We'll have a budget director on board then that will have a chance to look through things. And we'll, like I said, we'll have new guidelines. So as we sit today, we worked hard to get our fund equity over 10% and try to spread the cuts throughout the programs that we currently provide in ways that would not damage any one more than the other.
And to add on to that, I talked to a couple board members this evening. I didn't have a chance to talk to everybody. Rick and I had talked earlier today. There's should be answers coming at the end of the month, next month, with regards to how we're going back to school, when we're going to have sports, what sports we're going to have, what's going to be allowed, what's not going to be allowed, how much money they're going to claw back from last year. I'm not going to hold out hope for how much money they're going to give us next year, but we should have a lot more answers to help us fine tune this budget and he alluded to it. We're talking about the beginning of August, having a first budget revision at that time. It's a little earlier than we normally would, but I think given the circumstances and all the unknowns right now, we're probably going to have some significant changes, and that's the appropriate time to do it before we get school underway.
Right, the law requires that you revise your budget one time per year, but it doesn't restrict you from doing it more than that. And in these circumstances, it's realistic to believe that we will have to revise the budget more than once throughout the school year.
All right, if there's no questions, Becky?
All right, so we have some resolutions. I hereby move the Tecumseh Public School Board of Education adopt the resolution appropriating and revising total expenditures in the amount of $27,826,771 for the 2019-2020 fiscal year for the Tecumseh Public Schools General Fund budget.
Do we have support?
Support.
I'm going to give that one to Mike because he's in the first box on my screen.
Suzanne,
All right,
you might
roll-
want to take your speaker.
You're muted, Suzanne.
Yeah,
There
Okay,
you go.
All right. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Suzanne,
aye.
and the chair votes aye. Resolution passes. Do we have another one, Becky?
I have 3 pages. I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the Community Services Fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $207,294 for fiscal year 2020.
Support,
Support from Suzanne. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Suzanne,
aye.
the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Becky,
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the Food Service Fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $1,066,075 for fiscal year 2020.
Support.
roll call vote. Suzanne,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Unanimous again. Becky,
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the debt fund budget for debt services for the 2015 bond issue with expenditures that include principal, interest, and payment fees in the amount of $4,371,250 for fiscal year 2020.
support? Okay, I'll give it to myself. I support. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Suzanne? And Suzanne, that was an aye, correct?
Aye.
Okay. And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Aye. Yeah. It says my connection is unstable, just so you know.
I'm gonna leave that
That
alone.
makes a lot
No
of sense.
comment.
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the Capital Projects Fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $300,000 for fiscal year 2020.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John.
I thought we changed that to 200.
Ooh,
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
you're right, we did.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Back up then.
Nikki, can you
you
confirm
like-
that? Okay, let's try that again. I
We have
hereby
a
move,
typo. I think what we'll need to do is vote to amend the
Okay.
motion. So if you'd like to make a motion to amend the motion and correct the amount,
I will make a motion to correct the motion. The amount of that expenditure should be 200,000 for fiscal
I
year
will support
2020.
that. All right.
Hold on, is this for final revision or projected? Because final revisions is 300,000.
Oh, this is
Pro-
final, sorry.
Projected is
Okay.
200,000.
It is final.
Okay, good. So you want
Becky?
300,000.
Okay,
Yes,
Becky,
sir.
would you like to withdraw your amendment?
I very much would.
Okay, we'll withdraw the amendment. I will start over with the roll call vote on the original motion. Becky, for clarity, could you please reread the original motion?
Yes, sir. I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the projects fund budget with expenditures in the amount of 300,000 for fiscal year 2020.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Unanimous decision. Becky?
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the fiduciary activities fund budget with expenditures in the amount of 565,000 for fiscal year 2020.
Support.
Roll call vote. Suzanne,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Unanimous decision. Becky?
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education shall certify the property tax rates as set forth in the L 4029 document for July 1st, 2020.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Suzanne.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Becky, do you have another one for us?
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the resolution appropriating and revising total expenditures for the 2020-2021 fiscal year in the amount of $26,009,016 for the Tecumseh Public Schools General Fund budget.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Motion passes. Becky?
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the Community Services Fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $205,895 for fiscal year 2021.
Support.
Roll call. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Suzanne.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Unanimous.
I
Go
hereby
ahead,
move,
Becky.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Becky. I look like you were waiting on me.
I hereby move the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the debt fund budget for debt services for the 2015 bond issue with expenditures that include principal, interest, and payment fees in the amount of $4,366,250 for fiscal year 2021.
Support.
Mike this time. He was ahead by a nanosecond. Roll call vote. Suzanne,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Unanimous decision. Becky?
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the capital projects fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $200,000 for fiscal year 2021.
Support.
I got to give that one to Mike also. Roll call. Suzanne,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Another one, Becky?
Lastly, I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the fiduciary activities fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $530,000 for the fiscal year 2021.
Support.
Roll call. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Suzanne?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, unanimous. Are you out of things to read, Becky?
I am.
In that case, I believe we have covered everything we need to cover, and it is 7:06. So let me rearrange my paperwork here on my screen. Get back up to. All right. We now move on to our regular board meeting as scheduled. Mike McNamara will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
My computer's catching up with me. Oh, first up, we have good news. Mr. Rick Hilderly, take the floor.
There we go. Invited our athletic director, Mr. Zajac, this evening to talk about, which was some pretty unexpected good news, because we just didn't know that this rating was coming out, but it ended up being surprisingly good news for our program. So John, I'll let you briefly describe what happened.
Yeah, like Rick said, it was totally unexpected. I had no idea it was coming. There was no news of this. It just kind of popped in MLive. It was a report by niche.com. They did report 100 best schools in each state and then athletic departments as well. And we were 23rd in the state, which, you know, it's a great honor to kind of be there. Our coaches and kids have done a tremendous job. So kind of validates what we've been doing here for the, you know, past however many years. We were, I believe, third in our conference. Saline was 2, Chelsea was 11. I believe Pioneer was 19th. We were 23rd. So it just speaks loads of how well our conference is thought of. Only school in Lenawee County to get this. So it's pretty awesome. You know, I sent all the coaches a great email, congratulating them, because it kind of validates what we've been doing and the hard work that our coaches and kids have done. So it's a good honor to get. I think there's 650 schools in Michigan, so 23 out of 650. Mr. Benzing, you're the math guy. I don't know what percent that is, but that's pretty good in my book, I think. Top 15, maybe 15%. So, yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and it's good seeing you guys' face. It's been a long time, and you know, hope you guys have a good summer.
You too.
You guys have any questions for me before I go?
Thanks, John.
I see no questions, but John, thank you very much for dropping by and sharing the good news with us.
Okay, thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, John, and congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next up on our agenda is the public comment on agenda items. Tonight, we had no registrants for public comment on agenda items. So we're on to our board agenda. Do we have any revisions to the agenda, or can I get an approval for the agenda, please?
I move that we approve the agenda as is.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
I can read lips. Okay. Suzanne,
Aye.
the chair votes aye. The agenda is approved as written. First item on our agenda, scheduled reports, which I believe has me down, but Rick, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, I have my report a little bit later in the meeting. Aside from that, I don't have anything special to offer. Devin, I'll have comment a little bit about one of the upcoming discussion items, but aside from that, things are quiet, knock on wood.
All right. Next up on your agenda is the discussion items. We have to discuss a date for our July meeting, which is our organizational mid-year meeting. And we have a discussion on technology for the purchase of Chromebooks. Hold on just a minute here. Does everybody have their, we had a document regarding the organizational meeting, yes? Or was there no document for that one, Rick?
I don't believe we have a document for it, no.
Okay.
I do
Organizational
wanna-
meeting? Oh, go ahead.
One thing I want to suggest, just in reviewing the agenda, I think we may have missed the approval of the food service fund for 2021.
The 977,
Yes, that's the
I
one.
thought we did too. I almost stopped us and then I thought, oh, I just missed it.
During our reading of the,
Yes.
I thought we did have food service in there. We did not, we did miss it,
We did
Becky?
under one, but not another.
We
Yeah,
had food
I thought
service
we
for
missed it.
1920, but not for 2021.
Yep, I see it.
All right, if you could circle that, Becky. We can just make a motion to add that, or make a motion to approve that when we get to our action items.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, you owe everybody pizza, don't worry about it. That being said, July organizational meeting. Do we have a calendar date for that one already, Rick? I do not have a calendar in front of me.
What's our date for that one, Terry?
They usually do it by the second full week. So a lot of people are gone the first week on vacation, so.
Yeah.
It looks
We
like that'd
did
be the
not-
13th.
Right. We did not put that date on our calendar when we set the first half of the year, correct?
Yeah.
No, you organize in July and set them going forward. So
Yep.
the June meeting, you set July.
All right, thank you.
Should be 13
All
and
right.
27 then for July.
Normally we just have one meeting, I think, in July.
It should work.
Well, I move that we set July 13th at 7 o'clock as our organizational meeting and only have one meeting in July.
Support.
Roll call on that one. Suzanne?
I,
John? Oh, wait. John, did
The
you have
only-
comment on that?
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is this year, our tax deadline is July 15th. And I don't know how busy Milt and I are gonna be that Monday. I'm hoping not that busy, but do we have to have it on a Monday?
If we're only
Well-
doing one, we could do the 20th.
All right. Let's amend it to the 20th.
That would be better.
All right. Tim
support.
amends his motion to the 20th. Suzanne supports. Could I get a roll call vote on the amended motion to hold the meeting on the 20th at 7 PM? Suzanne?
Support, or I, sorry.
John?
I,
Tim?
Aye.
Becky?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
The board votes, or board, the chair votes aye. We will have that meeting on the 20th.
So we still had a discussion item.
We do. We have the technology purchase of Chromebooks as a discussion item.
Right, so we budget for the purchase of 400 Chromebooks each year. And that is partly for the one-to-one initiative for new kids becoming seventh graders, and then partly for replacements of things that are no longer working or are in disrepair. Maybe an addition of a Chromebook cart. So 400 Chromebooks is in the budget that you approved for 2021. In the distance learning action planning process, the logistics committee suggested that an additional purchase of 500 for a total of 900 Chromebooks be added, and that the lion's share of the CARES Act money, which the district will receive over 100,000, be appropriated to purchase that. But we want it to be something that the board acts on relatively soon, because just about every district in Michigan is trying to find Chromebooks to order. So in order to get a delivery date that precedes our school startup date of August 31st, we're asking for that money to be appropriated. Devin, you're on and listening. Anything else that you want to add to that?
No, that's about it. The sooner we act, the better. All the districts are lining up to purchase Chromebooks, and the line is long. The supply is short. So as soon as we can act on that, would be better.
So the board doesn't meet again now until July. So you would have to suspend your rules to deliver it from a discussion item tonight to an action item at the same meeting.
Suzanne, you have discussion?
Yes, so we're buying 500, the 400 are to replace ones that we're already using, correct? That need replacement, that we already have?
We've got a commitment for the one-to-one for the kids who will become seventh graders next year. So we know that we need those. And then we have some numbers padded in that 400 order so that we can replace items that are lost, didn't get returned, repairs, things like that. So
and then of course, if we don't use them all for homeschooling or distance learning, then we can just save them in our, for next year. And
yeah, save them for next year or use them as replacements as things get damaged this year.
Okay, so I have two things then. If we need a motion then to put that on the action items, and do we need a motion to add this fund budget motion to the action items as well?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we add the purchase of the Chromebooks of the 500 extra to the action items for tonight, and that we also add the food service fund budget that we missed to the action items for tonight.
Okay, I will
Second.
second that motion, but I will offer an amendment that we recognize that we are suspending the rules of the board and voting on a discussion item in the same meeting.
I believe it's,
Support, yes?
yes.
Mike, did you have comment?
Yeah, I believe it's in the best interest of our students to act now rather than wait until the 20th. So I'm all for it.
All right, then show the motions are added to our action, or the items are added to our action for the evening, and we will take votes on both of those. John, you have discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just want to make sure that we have consistent policies through all the buildings for our Chromebooks, and that we have, insurance policies set up. We have replacement policies set up, and that we're tracking these Chromebooks properly. I know in the past, we've struggled with this process. We've had inconsistencies in the buildings with collecting the insurance money and collecting the waivers. So, this is, while they're not expensive individually, they are expensive collectively. And I want to make sure that, we're protecting the district's assets by doing a better job tracking these, and also doing a better job with getting those waivers signed and collecting that insurance money.
I agree, John. There was a Chromebook policy in place, in 2017 when I left the district. We typically charged each family $30 a year for insurance. And then what we told those folks is that after paying that one-to-one initiative for 5 years when it started as 8th graders, that their child would leave with a Chromebook. Now things are a little different. We started a year sooner, and we're also talking about potentially having Chromebooks in the hands as young as 3rd grade with this purchase, in case something happens and we have to go out to just distance learning again. So you're right, we will have to take a look at the Chromebook policy, the way that it's been utilized and the way that we're going to utilize it moving forward, so that it's consistent. But this year will be a little bit different because the kids are getting pretty young that we're issuing them to.
Tim?
So how much are we spending here total? And how much are we getting in the CARES Act money for?
Nikki, correct me if I'm off, but I believe it was 118,000.
I'm thinking it was a little over 150, but I can,
Okay.
188 something, 188, 391.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Not 118, 188.
188.
But yeah, the Chromebooks are roughly $200 a piece with a license, so we're spending about 100,000 of it.
Okay. And then I'd also like to add to an action item, if we're going to do this, is that I know some of these come back in and they're just destroyed, or students keep, and we give them another one, and we give them another one. I'd like to add something in for our action item to make sure there is a policy that comes before the board before school starts.
Yep.
For instance, at the end of the year, it was a little confusing. Some people were saying you need to return your Chromebook. And then some buildings were saying, don't return your Chromebook. So I got 3 Chromebooks in my house. I'm not sure if we're supposed to return them or not. So,
You hold them for ransom?
well, I don't know. We were told not to return them from the building admins.
Yeah.
So
we really wanted to get back the ones that we sent out at the beginning of the continuity of learning. But the kids who were issued 7/12 were able to keep theirs. But I know Devin, and back to the policy, Devin and Greg and his guys they were working actually before pandemic on the Chromebook policy, and modeled it after a few different districts that are local, and I think it makes very good sense. So we will have that in front of the board to review.
okay.
Tim, rather than add that as an action item, would it suffice to have Terry put that down to have a draft of it available at
Yep.
our July meeting?
Yep, that's fine.
And could we please run that by the attorney's office after we compose it, and be sure there's nothing we're missing, and be sure we're legitimate in our policy?
Will do.
All right. Any other discussion regarding the Chromebooks?
I just have a question. Is this bid purchase going to be through a bid process? Because there's rules for that. Or what's Devin's plan on securing that?
If we're going to approve this this evening, we do have a bid through the REMC consortium agreement. We could place an order. It's for a slightly different model than what we've previously used, but we do have a valid bid that we could go with. There is also an option to do an RFP process, although it would take longer. So I think at this point I would advise against it.
Thank you.
Devin, we weren't able to hear all of that.
Okay, yeah, there's maybe a problem with my internet connection tonight. We do have a valid quote that we could move on immediately.
Is it in line with pricing you've got in the past? I mean, they're not like all of a sudden jacking you up like $50 a Chromebook.
No, so this is typically $8 higher than what we looked at. So the prices are in line with what we've seen.
Okay.
And are we obligated to put this out for bid because we are going to be using some federal funds with this, or?
Devin, was that now you have a quote. Was that a result of a bid process already that was out there? And we
No,
received
this
multiple
is-
bids on?
This is through the consortium buying group, the REMC contract that we have. It's a pre-approved buyer.
Okay, so we hold a contract with them through a consortium then.
Yes,
Yes.
they are pre-approved.
Okay. Suzanne, you were holding your hand up. Did you have something to
Yeah,
add?
I'm just wondering if we have a policy in place, like Terry was talking about, that would prevent us from, if you're going out for quote on something over X amount of 1,000, thousands of dollars, you have to go out for bid and get 3 bids, or does the consortium thing eliminate us from that?
The policy, purchasing policy, the state bid threshold is for this year, it's like $24,793. It's a very strange oddball amount of money. That threshold means that we either have to go out and do a formal RFP, or we have to use a purchasing consortium that we have access to, and that purchasing consortium is vetted through the state to do their own bidding to secure the best pricing.
Okay,
So we're in that pool.
yeah.
All right. Any further discussion? Not appear so. Let's move on for our action items. It looks like we have already taken action on setting the date for the July meeting. Becky, do you have, or will you ad hoc the action items? And please don't forget the food service.
I hereby move that the Tecumseh Public Schools Board of Education adopt the food service fund budget with expenditures in the amount of $977,435 for fiscal year 2021.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Suzanne.
I,
The chair votes aye. Motion passes unanimously. Becky?
Are you looking for the Chromebook?
Just ad lib it, that's fine.
Yes.
There's no motion, so
Right. I got that. So it was what was the total price? Was it 100,000?
188, 381.
181 is the CARES Act money.
Right.
The
100,000 is what
appropriation will
you,
be roughly 100,000.
okay. So I make a motion that we approve the expenditure for the additional Chromebooks for the Tecumseh Public School.
Support.
Roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Becky?
Aye.
Tim?
I think we need to make an amendment and say how many we're buying to this motion. 'Cause
We
that's an
can.
open-ended checkbook there.
It
so,
is pretty open-ended.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna make an amendment that it's a total of 900 Chromebooks that Tecumseh Public Schools will be buying.
all right, I apologize. I think that John had his hand up also before I started the roll call vote, and I didn't spy it. I apologize for missing that discussion on that. John?
I think we need to make sure it says up to 900, because if we run into an issue where we only can get 700, we need to be able to buy up to 900 Chromebooks. So just that little piece of it. Just based on supply, if the supply is not there, we can't buy 900. But
All right. Well, I will make a motion to amend Becky's motion to purchase Chromebooks up to the number of 900 Chromebooks for the 2020-2021 school year.
Support.
All right. Roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Becky?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
John?
aye.
Suzanne?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. We have a unanimous vote.
Appreciate the board suspending those rules. It's an important purchase for us.
All right. It seems, did that cover all of our action items that we had moved forward?
Did you vote on the date for the July meeting?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Already voted on that. Okay. Yeah, then that should be it.
All right. That will move on to the superintendent's report for this meeting. Rick?
Okay, a few items that are listed there for you. The Building Futures Committee has met and will meet again on Thursday this week. There was a little bit of homework for the people who were part of that. Had to prioritize some of the things on the list. Also had to, I think a few people had to sign in to get Google accounts so that they could share some of the documents. But the next thing that the group will be working on is determining a program for the district moving forward. So that'll happen, and TMP will be driving that discussion on Thursday for a couple hours. Right now, tentatively, we're a small enough group where we can meet in person inside. We're going to try to spread out in the cafeteria at the high school. So we'll see how that goes. Under superintendent's evaluation, last meeting, it was requested that any questions come through the president. None were submitted. So the next step in the process will be a quarterly report in September, an update on the goals that were set, and then final report will be given in November with the evaluation in December. Probably try to have Mark Dobiash back to facilitate that. And then we'll be done with the first year process, which I can't believe it's been a year, but we will have a year under our belts together. Continuity of learning plan has wrapped up. Just comparing and assessing success and numbers and participation and how things moved forward from around the county. We're really about the same as everybody that I talked to locally. The food service, I think our numbers were pretty fantastic, nearing 90,000 meals that were served. The last one coming up on the 30th. So a couple more service dates for food service from that plan. In terms of the end of the year, Mr. Mills is working with the class officers to talk about graduation. There is a parent group who has asked for access to some of the funds for the prom, and they'd like to do something separate of the school to set that up. So he's working with that group. We're expecting that by July 19th, we could have phase 5 recommendations, which would allow us to do a larger graduation outside. I know this past weekend, Celine ran their graduation. Griff actually watched that on their live stream. He's been in contact with the principal there. He's working with 2 other districts from our conference in Chelsea and Pinckney. So, we set that date out far enough so few people will go ahead of us, and hopefully we'll learn a thing or two about how that might work. There's a couple of fields of thought there that, one of them is that do you graduate the class as a whole in 250 and then only have maybe one person in attendance per child? Or do you break it down into halves or thirds or maybe even quarters and then be available, be able to have tickets for more family members? So those are the sorts of discussions that we really want to know what the kids think, and he's taking his time to set that up. So within 10 days or so of the final event in July, we'll have that figured out and see where we are in terms of phases, and they'll have a graduation ceremony planned per the kids' wishes. Summer school offerings, talked with Mr. Dolson today, and he has a little over 300 people signed up in our summer school program. So that's about 3 times higher than the normal that we provide each summer. So I know a lot of families were hoping to carry over the learning opportunities from the missed time of instruction. And I'm glad that we're able to offer that. Childcare program is running at Compass. I think they have 18 or 19 kids involved. It's really remarkable to see them in the way that they deal with the distancing, and the kids are very serious about it. They help develop the protocols, and they help enforce it. And pandemic behavior is something that you never intended little kids to have to take on, but they get it and they treat it seriously. And whether they're outside or in the gym or in their classroom, they're really paying attention to what it is that they're supposed to be doing in terms of their distancing. Enrollment, we just want to mention that Kindergarten Roundup continues. It hasn't been an event really yet in terms of assessments. We put that off until August. Of course, just before we were ready to go with our assessments a couple of weeks ago, then we ran into a staff member who came up positive for COVID and had worked in the property handoff. So we had staff members tested. We had no other positives come back, but we just shifted that Kindergarten Roundup assessment to in August, just to be safe and avoid any further issue. So, and then finally, something that wasn't on the agenda, I want to talk about administrative assignments. We did have one resignation from the administrative group, and that person has moved on. So in looking at our administrative breakdown for next year, we will have Mr. Mills again as the principal of the high school. His assistant principal, Mr. Anastasov, will be assigned as the 7-8 principal for next year. And Greg Dolson, who is directing TVA, will remain at the high school, but also take on duties as the assistant principal at the high school. And all of the other assignments remain the same with Mrs. Fulton and Mrs. Howard at Compass. This year will be just 4 grades between those two. And then Mrs. DeLand and Mrs. Way at the ELCs with an additional grade, 2nd grade in their buildings for this year. So that rounds out our group. It's a very hard-working group of people. I talked to them today actually about their calendar. They're all slated to work for 3 weeks past the end of the school year, which this year would be the 30th of June. What I told them, because the target for guidelines coming out from the state is June 30th, I traded them out some days, and they're actually going to come back and work in July, the 2nd week in July, so that we can sort through those guidelines and take what our distance learning action team did and plug those things into what it is the governor's committee comes out for guidelines. So they're all very eager and happy to do that, trading out some time right now where things are pretty well wrapped up. Evaluations are done. The moving is mostly complete. And now they're going to focus on the training needs that will be starting in July and also the guidelines that we're going to have to meet. So I thank them for being flexible on that and, working things around whatever family plans they may have had. And probably I was thinking when you were rearranging the schedule, the June 20 or July 20 date, I think will be a good time for us to catch the board up in the community on just what the guidelines are and what we have in terms of our planning to plug into that. So I think it'll coincide with our work in a good way that way. So that's all I have, unless there are questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hilderly tonight? I do not see any questions. That should move us right into our consent agenda. Becky, do you have a motion for our consent agenda?
I hereby move to approve the consent agenda, which includes the following items: minutes from the regular board meeting of May 18th, 2020, minutes from the regular board meeting of June 8th, 2020, and minutes from the special board study session meeting of June 17th, 2020.
Do we have support?
Support.
Roll call vote. Suzanne? John?
Aye.
That was an aye from Suzanne, by the way, Terry, if you didn't see her. Tim?
Aye.
Becky?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Consent agenda is approved. Items for next agenda. We have some discussion items. We're going to have our building handbooks for 20 and 21, our child care handbook and procedures for 20 and 21, fee schedules for food service, athletics, and facility use. And we're going to discuss our district calendar for 20 and 21. How, Rick, we're still working on the development of that calendar with contract extensions, et cetera. Is that going
Right,
to be
yeah.
well developed or
we-
struggling?
We had an appointment set up with the TEA on Friday that didn't happen. So we've moved that forward to Wednesday this week and hopefully get to have a discussion not only about contract issues, but the calendar so that we'll be in agreement and get that out for families. Also, you asked for the Chromebook policies. That'll be one of the things that we have as a discussion item as well.
Thank you, Rick. And for action items next time around, we will have our organizational meeting items, election of board officers and annual district renewals. Election of board officers, that is now on a 6-month schedule?
No,
Yes.
it's supposed to
For
be
1 year.
January. It's
Yeah,
supposed to
that
be 1 year
happens
to
in
January.
Yeah, I didn't remember that changing to 6 months. It's caught me off guard a little bit.
My bad, I thought it was January.
It's a little warm outside, Terry.
Step
Wait for
outside.
snow. That's the key, snow.
Snow, yeah.
It's COVID.
All right.
Just a little cottonwood now and then.
All right, no problem, Terry. Thank you. We will have our annual district renewals, and we actually have the technology purchase of Chromebooks down there. That was moved forward to this meeting so we could meet a timeline. So that brings us to our second public comment, which we did not have any registrants for. That'll finish us out with our board member comment and discussion. Do we have any comment discussion from board members? Becky?
Just wondering if we can do this in person again. If we're doing the building committee in person, can we do ours in person?
I think that by the 20th of July, I think we should try that for July.
I think
Suzanne's
we're
happy.
planning on it.
Coming
Yeah,
to your
I
house.
think we're planning on it.
Okay.
We're definitely planning on it. We'll of course consult with the district's attorneys because that's all contingent on following, whatever exists still of an emergency order or state orders at that
Right.
point. So we'll plan on it, but it'll be contingent on approval by the attorney's office.
Yeah, and we know we probably won't be able to include a large gallery, so there may be a need to continue with this live stream. But I believe that the board and any members of the administration that might be submitting a report could most likely be live. Maybe one at a time for the reports, but we'll see what the guidelines are come July.
Okay, thank you.
On that note, I have had people reach out to me about continuing the live stream because they or family are immune compromised or particularly nervous about the COVID ongoing. So I think that live streaming it, at least in the foreseeable future, is a very conscientious thing to do at minimum.
Well, I think that's kind of always been a goal anyway.
It has. There's some stumbling blocks to get over, and I think COVID has helped us get over some of them. So we will probably make a concentrated effort to be concentrated effort to be sure that we continue to live stream.
I think you're looking for a concerted effort there, but
That's the one I was looking for. The spotted cow sitting in front of me, and it's just drawing me away. Sorry.
Conceited effort is just bragging about it.
that's right.
I've been known to do that too, though. That takes us to our adjournment. Could I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Support? That's me. I'll support that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at, I'm not even sure. It's 7:47 p.m. Thank you, everyone. I will
you.
see you all soon.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Everybody.